Welcome back to Talking About the Taboo with Natalie Malloy. Running away from the microphone here. This is where curious minds run to essentially really get, where they're on a mission to talk everything about sex and relationships, and where you can come here to really use this as your very own digital diary. I'm so happy to be back with you today. And today we're talking about something that I have waited to talk about, and I cannot wait to talk about today. Have you ever found yourself considering your own biases towards STDs? And have you had an STD yourself? Do you have an uncurable STD that you just don't know how to live with, and you have constantly been really criticizing yourself for the decisions that you made? Does a friend of yours or a colleague or your partner have an STD and you just don't know how to talk about it? Well, that's what today is. Today, we're discussing the struggles around dating with an STD, how you can talk to your partner and really focus on your inner critic. And, dating with an STD can be a really huge struggle. And that's why I am bringing on my lovely friend who is going to talk about her story. And she's going to respond to today's questions with the utmost amount of respect and honesty and bluntness, as she is, as I love her for. And she will speak her own testimony and what sexy time looks like to her. So please stay tuned for this lovely conversation where I speak to my friend, I'll introduce her later, about STDs. Hey, hey, hey! We are back. Obviously, there's another face on the screen, and that is a lovely person who I was talking about. This is my great friend who I met actually 9 months ago now, which is crazy. The time has flown. And what?
Oh, I said literally?
Oh, yeah. 9 months is crazy. And she's wonderful. And one of the first conversations that we had was her realizing that I'm very sex positive. And she right off the bat told me her story. And I'm going to have her share her story today. Just for a warning or a disclaimer of today. A lot of the times, obviously we're talking about STDs, people assume that you have to tell the story of how you got the STD when you're telling people that you have the STD. That's not the case. Whether or not she's going to share her story today, that is up to her. But I want all the viewers to know that is not something that you need to do when you are talking about your STD. But without further ado.
Hello. My name is Kayleigh. I am 26 years old. I have had genital herpes since I was 21. I don't know if you want me to get right into the story.
Hell yeah. Rock
Okay.
on, sister.
So actually, I'll start back when I was 14. So herpes can be contracted by birth canal. That side noise?
It's okay.
Okay. Well,
We're humans.
yeah, so herpes technically can be contracted by the birth canal. I was not born with it. I did get it from a partner. So we'll start when I was 14. An older man, he was more experienced. We never had sex, but he did perform oral on me. And it was only 3 days after he had a cold sore. So when I was 14, I let him go down on me. I know it's very young. I'm pretty sure we were all experimental at a young age.
Yes.
But about, I think, 3-4 days after he went down, I couldn't even sit properly in school. So it became to a point where it was so unbearable, I had to have a discussion with my mother. Now, thank God for Mama Julie, because,
God bless, she was responsive to that.
oh yeah, my mom's the best. So I told her, I'm like, hey, I have these weird bumps down there, like it really hurts. I think I need to go see a doctor. So she took me to Planned Parenthood. Shout out Planned Parenthood.
Yes. Free condoms and lube.
Yes. So yeah, I went to Planned Parenthood. They told me that I had type 1 herpes, but it was down there.
Yep.
Now, what explained to me is that they caught it early enough in time to take proper medication so that way it wouldn't come back. So I followed those instructions and I never had a herpes outbreak again. Me and my partner at that time were very cautious about if he got a cold sore, and that's the lack of education from schools. Now,
Yes, I preach it.
yeah, so that's how I got herpes type 1.
Mhm.
Now, how I got herpes type 2. Let me backstory in case people don't know. Herpes type 1 is a cold sore. It's what
Mhm.
you get around your face. Some people in
Nose.
nose. I get herpes in my nose. So it's not visible to the eye, but
Mhm.
it's my reminder like I have to be cautious when I'm kissing someone because it's not staring you in the face.
Right.
So, but after my interaction when I was 14, I got diagnosed with type 1 herpes. Obviously, herpes is a lifelong disease, so you got to deal with it. Now, when I was 21, I had a new partner. I was very responsive on like how my cold sores, how long they last. If I knew I just had one, I wouldn't give him a blowjob the next day. Because I don't
Yeah, you were taking the right steps.
exactly. Yes. Now, how I mentioned earlier, I get cold sores in my nose. So sometimes they're painful, sometimes they're not. A lot of the times, I don't even notice that they're there. But it's my responsibility to make sure that I am being safe about certain things. So, my partner at the time, he was getting frisky and he decided to use my saliva to, I don't know a proper way to say finger me. This is a sex channel. So, he was,
Finger fuck you right in the fucking vagina. You say what you want, gal. Oh
yeah,
my God. Yeah.
he was finger blasting me with my own saliva.
Said it.
I, I was like, what do you call that?
I love you.
Dirting his fingers? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, we're not sugarcoating things here.
Yeah. So he was finger blasting me with my own saliva, and my brain did not register like I have a herpes in my nose.
Right.
So the next day, I realized what had happened. Thank God, me and that partner at the time did not have intercourse, or else he would have gotten it too.
Mhm.
One, I was a little, a little dumb, but thank God he didn't have sex with me. And about every other month during my period, I would notice this really like bad pain. And I thought personally, I thought it was a bad yeast infection
Mm.
because herpes look differently. And like I just saw like this white kind of creamy stuff. So I'm like, oh, okay, yeast infection. So I would buy some over the counter yeast infection cream and it would burn.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
after a couple of months of being like, okay, you know what? Something's not right. So I went to the emergency room and I was diagnosed with type 2 herpes. So I have type 1 and type 2. So I get cold sores on my face and I get cold sores on my genitalia.
Yeah, I mean, wow. So let's like take a step back. First of all, 14 is super young, and you have to kind of really like kind of grow up a little fast.
Mm.
And I was, speaking with, another friend of mine is just that, living with an STD, honestly, it adds another layer of responsibility. Um, but at 14, adding that layer of responsibility with a lack of sex education in schools, I hope that you've forgiven yourself for making a boo boo.
Yeah, no,
You know what I mean?
I mean, I've always kind of been a confident person. Maybe not confident, but I always knew who I was and I always liked who I was.
Okay.
And my mom was super supportive. My mom's a very confident woman, and I guess that's kind of rubbed off on me.
Mhm.
But when it did originally happen, I was 14,
Yeah, yeah.
um, I thought my world was ending. Like, how is anyone gonna love me? I remember crying when I first developed breast and my nipples didn't
Wow.
look identical. You
Sisters, not twins.
I'm not perfect. But after the genital herpes, I really came to acceptance. Like, I'm still human. I still hang out with my girls. I
Yeah.
still have frequently great sex. Like, it doesn't stop you from living your life. You just have to
Mhm.
be cautious sometimes.
Yeah. And so, can we bounce back to what your life looks like now? So, obviously, you're in a relationship, and I'll let you speak on that. But getting to the point of living with an STD, figuring out how to work around it, building the boundaries around it, and then getting with your partner now. What was that type of
So the
layout?
partner that who finger blasted me, um, I mean, I technically did give herpes to myself.
Right.
I mean, I'm thankful I never gave it to anyone else, but still, it's like a slap in the face a little bit.
Hmm.
But the partner that I originally got it with, they they stopped sleeping with me. They didn't know, I don't know, look it up. And
You weren't educated.
yeah, yeah. So I mean I left him, but the partner that I have now, it was I originally met him online and I was talking to him about 3 months. Now I felt like that was enough time, like, okay, we're serious and I need to tell you about myself
Okay.
because obviously this thing is not just going to affect me, it's going to affect.
Yep.
So yeah, 3 months in, I confessed to him and I was sobbing, hysterically sobbing, because I just felt like this man is perfect, like he's not gonna want me anymore. And he was so cool with it.
That's
And
so.
yeah, and I believe he's the one that had a friend who killed themselves because they got herpes.
Wow.
So he immediately was,
Oh, wow.
I know. And it's like we still can taste food, we still can enjoy art and
Right.
music,
Right. Right.
like still develop friendships and lovers. Like it doesn't end.
Hmm. And I noticed you saying, you confessed
Mhm.
to him, and, for me, that verbiage sounds so, like, flabbergasting, you know what I mean? And I think something that I wanna talk about today and to let other people know, and maybe you, um, is that we gotta try to avoid saying this way and try saying it this way, like, you know what I mean? Like, "I have terrible news. I have
Yeah,
something that I wanna talk to you about," rather than, you know what I mean? You go from, "Don't freak out," but, and you wanna be like, "I'd like to actually sit down and talk to you. Do you have the actual capacity today to talk about what I wanna talk to you about?" Like,
yeah.
instead of whatever the word I'm trying to
It
say.
should be normalized.
Yes. Yeah.
Over if 75% of the population has herpes.
90, looked it up today.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. You're right. I did watch that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Crazy.
it's like, but at that time, he was the first person I had talked to after I left.
Mhm.
So it was the first time of me ever bringing something like this up, which was a big deal. And when you do have herpes, you feel like a burden. You feel like, oh my God, I'm the problem. But you're still human. You still have so many things to offer other than body. Like, and I think it's foolish that, once upon a time I did think that. But now where I am today, I'm like, give me all the STDs and the STIs.
Oh, no. But you know what? I say this as well. Like, I know what you mean by that. It means that you are the most strongest person that you know, right? And you can handle it. So it's like, I can handle it. I can, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I love that song. But you are asking, it's okay if the universe wants to slap you in the fucking face, okay, and finger fuck you.
Yeah.
Because you can take it. You can take it because you've taken so much more and then some, and I think that's what you mean by that, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Strength.
when you're young,
Yeah.
something like this so traumatic happens. And when I was 14, the first time I've ever had this, that was the only guy I've ever messed with.
Yeah, that was my next question. Was that your first sex experience?
Yeah, it was. It was. It was the first time that man has ever performed on me, and it resulted in that. So, I mean, there was a lot of damage there, but I think my partner now has genuinely helped me heal
Uh-huh.
with regards to this. Like, I could cry just thinking about it.
Oh, please cry. I open it. I just don't have tissues to hand you through this digital screen. So
But yeah, I mean, he loved me for who I was, what I am. He never made me feel ashamed or like broken because of it. I mean, sure, not having sex for a week or so out of the month is kind of like, whatever.
yeah.
But, you know, it builds tension in your relationship. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I can't have sex. Like, I have a herpes outbreak. And when I'm good to go, the tension just builds.
I love that. And like that's what I want people to hear because
Yeah.
when they're first diagnosed with it, I can only imagine that their brain is running from roller coaster to roller coaster and all of the good, the bad, the oh my god, my life is over type mentality. And you have found yourself in a point in your life where you're finally comfortable. You don't feel like you have to explain yourself, and your sex is fucking amazing.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and this was your path. You know, you want to think about it like maybe I was supposed to have herpes because what if I didn't have herpes and the tension wasn't being built? You know what I mean? Like it just those little things that the universe plants in the seeds.
Yes. And when I started dating my partner now is really when I came to terms to accepting it. Because
Uh,
when I first met you, I told you, like,
yeah.
you know, that I had,
Yeah.
and everyone that comes across my path, I'm like, oh yeah, I have genital herpes.
Yeah.
Like,
As you said, talking about it, not catastrophizing it, whatever
yeah,
the fuck that word is.
like it's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, it's just who you are now. It's like growing a mole. You're
Yes. Oh
like,
my
it's just
gosh.
another thing that defines you.
So I sent her a YouTube video, which I will put in the show notes. But this person was talking about how people talk about how it's like a huge, ugly sore, and it is just spewing out disgusting discharge. And I'm just like, bruh, have you looked up what herpes untreated can get real ugly.
Yeah.
Herpes treated probably ends up being a dot.
Yeah. I mean, not even treated. Like, I went years without medication. Now,
Sometimes doesn't even show up, right?
I mean, no. So I'm a weird case.
Okay.
But I want to say this first. I went years without medication because I personally I don't want to put things into my body that
Yeah.
can fuck with me. So
Chris. Yes.
I just kind of dealt with it, but I'm the weird case. So as people get older, their herpes become less frequent.
Oh, okay.
Some people get herpes from too much sun exposure, from a bad diet, just like and stress. I mean, stress is a huge factor into herpes.
And outbreaks and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I meant. Herpes outbreak. You
Oh
can't
no.
stress.
Yeah. I think yeah, let's not sexucate people to think that
Yeah, don't
please
stress.
go tanning. Oh
Um,
my god.
but yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm an unlucky case. I get them every month right after my period. It's like fucking clockwork. But yeah, as you get older, though, they get less frequent. They become less painful. I know when I first got it, not when I was 14, but regularly, it was extremely painful. But that it goes away and it fades, and it's not the end of your fucking life. Like, you can still enjoy things. You only have pain for maybe 2, 3 days. Like, go take a hot bath, chill out.
The pain, I'm sure people want to know, like, what is this pain that you're describing? Is it like a stinging, a burning, or just uncomfortable, or you could feel it? Like, can you explain that?
All of the above. It,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's some people who don't have side effects, but I kind of got the worst bit of it. But it is what it is. So I kind of reference it to like a needle, like
Hmm.
over and over again to the point where it burns. Um,
Wow.
you do swell, like your, because
Vulva.
yeah, because obviously it's an infection.
Mhm.
Um, so your body's trying to combat that, and what does it do? It swells because there's so much fluid that they're trying to get rid of.
The
So
white blood cells are in action.
yeah, um, so it swells. You know, you can feel it. It's hot. I used to put Neosporin on it before I got on medication, but yeah, I mean I'm not gonna lie to people.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst pains I've ever felt. I will say I haven't had kids, so I can't compare that. But yeah, I mean it's pretty rough, but it goes away. Like I think I had it pretty bad for 2 years,
Okay.
and I mean I'm fine. I can't even like I don't even notice when they're there. I mean, I physically have to look at my crotch in a mirror and be like, "Oh, okay, there's a sore, no
Yeah.
sex."
You've gotten used to like that pain that comes along with it and
It doesn't have pain anymore.
oh, okay.
Yeah, like they're just there, like your body
Wow.
to it, and I mean, it's great,
Okay.
like not having to deal with the pain aspect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
When you did have pain, for those watching, what did you do to help it? I heard you talk about like a hot bath. Um,
yes.
you weren't on medication, but I know there is medication. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so if you're cool with taking pills, I would just recommend.
Horse pills.
Yeah, they're big fuckers. Um, but I mean, I like I said, I can't take pills. I don't. I feel like I'm always gonna choke. So what I do is I bite them into small pieces. Granted, it doesn't taste good, but it gets the job done a lot quicker than letting your body try to do it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I recently just started meds within the past year because I'm like, I want to get laid more often. So
We all do. So you take meds. In the past, like so you took baths, did you like heating pads, like creams, anything, like what?
so heat actually makes herpes spread.
Okay,
So
I did not know that.
yeah, so you wanna, because I mean, um, it
Oh, that's
can.
right, you said sun. Well, if it's in such a wet, heated area,
Well,
that's
like they like moisture,
yeah.
like fungus. Like it just. I mean, it's not literally fungus. Please don't take that literal. But like it like uh,
Yes. It is a skin condition.
so like pussy is a perfect place for this shit to grow. You
Yeah.
know,
Is it in
like
your thighs too and in your labia majora, or is it just in your vulva?
in the vulva area.
Okay.
I mean, I have a friend who gets them on her outside of her nose, and she
Hmm.
used to get them by her eye.
Yeah.
Type
Yeah.
1, type 2. And she got it when she was a baby.
Yep. So did I.
And like
So,
you can like get it from your having family members kiss your children.
yeah. My
Nope.
mom used to kiss me and I get
Yeah.
crappy cold sores, but that's that's how it is. And that burning sensation that you speak about too is like I kind of resonate with that because like when you know it's coming, you get that like tingly, and then if you accidentally like bite it when I get it on my lip, ow, ow,
Yeah.
that's just ow, and I can only imagine
Oh yeah.
down
Oh,
peeing.
so I did not get those kind of herpes.
Okay,
I mean some people do get them in the canal.
that's I wanted to know if it was okay.
Yeah, I strictly just get it kind of near my clit area. Um,
Okay,
Once in a while I can get it on my asshole.
does it hurt to pee? It doesn't hurt to pee
No,
because it comes out of your pee hole.
yeah,
Or does it
no,
hit it?
no, it does not hit it.
Okay.
But I imagine it. I haven't had an accident before, so I
Okay.
don't. I don't know.
On your
Someone.
asshole? Oh my god, how do you shit?
Oh my god, bitch! It hurts. I'm not.
Ugh! That's like fucking, what is it? What hemorrhoids.
Oh
And if those I have those. Is it kinda do you have hemorrhoids?
no.
Oh my god, girl. There's
Huh.
internal hemorrhoids and external hemorrhoids, and that shit burns, and it feels like a knife when you shit. It's horrible.
I mean, so shitting isn't the worst part, it's the wiping.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, I'm so sorry.
that's all right. I got the
Oh,
meds for it now, baby.
yeah, so you can get fucked more and pounded more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, going back to like methods, I do really recommend drugs. Like, get med.
Drogas.
Yeah. But I used to take baths frequently. So you want to definitely keep that area clean as much as possible. And like I said, I would put Neosporin down there. That's something that I find pain relief in. I would take Motrin because that calms the swelling too
Mhm.
and the pain.
Yeah.
So those are things that I used to do. I don't know if any other viewers have recommendations. Leave them in the comments for us herpy folks.
Positive things for those who are positive, please and thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, so let's kind of bounce back before we kind of move forward. Let's do a hypothetical situation here. I kind of want to get your point of view. Okay. So say your partner wasn't the first person that you told after like the next try, like after that partner, and you happen to get rejected. And later on, we're going to go through some Reddit stories, but I just kind of want to get your perspective before we run into that idea. Um,
yeah.
how do you think, hypothetically, you would go about it?
So, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a pretty confident woman.
Right.
Always have. I've just been very secure in myself. And if someone didn't accept me because of that, I would not hold them accountable. I would not hold myself accountable. I respect that you don't want to engage in this,
Mm-hmm.
but also have you done your research? Because it's not life threatening. And it's
Yeah.
very easy to avoid spreading.
So something I feel like just me knowing my pettiness, what I would do was have an entire like portfolio of like articles, YouTube videos, personal testimonies, like this podcast episode, like, and
I,
just be like, I totally understand. Thank you so much. But here is the research.
I need to
Ghost.
know because if they're not going to accept you now, what makes you think they're going to accept you later in life?
Yeah,
Like,
at the hard times.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Like, if
Yeah.
you're, because me personally, like I said, I waited 3 months before me and my partner were serious. And I thought that was plenty of time for him to know me, respect me,
Yeah.
and you know,
Outside of knowing that
yeah,
information. Yeah.
him making a valid decision. Like if you're just chilling with someone for a week, like no, you don't tell them yet.
Right.
You know, make sure they're going to be the person that stays in your life.
But it
You don't.
hangs over you, right? Is
I
it
mean,
way heavy? Okay.
it did. As we were getting more serious, and that 3 month mark, I was like, okay, it's. I gotta tell him.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's time.
But you didn't get rejected, and you're with a partner who loves and appreciates you.
Yeah.
And on these Reddit stories we're about to read, I will tell you that some of these people are pieces of shit. And yeah, right. And some of these comments are interesting. I don't know if you had a brief moment to read through some of them.
I did read some of them briefly, but I didn't get to the comments.
Yeah. So just we're gonna start. We're gonna start reading these Reddit stories. And get the perspective. I have cold sore, so I have HSV1, but you have genital herpes as well. So you can kind of get this perspective because some of them kind of go into cold sore, some of them kind of go into most of them go into genital herpes. Also, a disclaimer. I know today we're talking about herpes. I and herself are very aware there is other STDs that are out there. We are just specifically talking about herpes today.
Yeah, because I mean that's the one I can most relate to.
Right, right.
And
So I'm taking a sip of the wine.
girl, you got work tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not going to sleep. So this one is literally titled Dating with an STD. Didn't really catch my eye, but then I read it. It is soul crushing to date with herpes. That's sad. I'm an intelligent educated woman. I'm funny. I make good money. I'm kind. And I'm an amazing mom to my 2 kids. I volunteer. I have interests and hobbies. I share this with matches on Tinder/Bumble, Hinge, after talking for days, hours, multiple dates, whatever, and I get ghosted every time, like clockwork. It feels like all of the good about me is neglected by a mistake from years ago, and I can't move past it. And I know, I don't need anyone to take some time off to work on your mental health. I did. I took a few months off, deleted all apps, and came back with renewed self esteem. And after 4 dates, the first guy I liked on the app ghosted me the day after I admitted it to him. I would put it on my profile, but it's humiliating to start with the idea that someone I know would see it. I just can't. I've already jokingly matched with 2 people I know. For all of the statistics of, oh my God, everybody has herpes, and I never had anyone else admit that they had it. Dating with an STD sucks. Thank you for listening to my vent. Edit. I woke up today feeling so frustrated, and I have gotten so much love today. It's really filled me up. Thank you, internet strangers, for your support. I have so much positive karma to pay forward now. Wow. Yeah. So, what's your take on that? How do you feel about after hearing that?
So, I mean, my personal opinion is, like I said, how long are you talking to these people for? Like,
You said like it's like Tinder and like multiple dates, talking for days, hours.
yeah, what is multiple dates? Is that 3 or 4, or is that 12? You know,
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's vulnerability. And a lot, I mean, if you really had a choice, 2 of the same people, one with herpes, one without herpes, most people are not going to pick herpes. It is what it is. I mean, I don't blame you. I shared my experience. It is a hard condition at first, but it doesn't make you any less valuable.
Right. She said in the beginning, she's like,
Yeah,
I'm an intelligent, educated woman, you know.
exactly. And she's a mother.
Yeah.
Like you're disrespecting someone's daughter, someone's um oh god, I can't think of the word. Aunt, sister, cousin. Like,
Yes.
we're just fucking people.
Yeah.
Like, but if you're educated and you don't want to do it, then that's fine. But if you're just saying that because of all this stigmatism, like, then shame on you. Because if
Right.
you liked me, if you really respected me for who I am, you would look into it. You
Yeah,
know
she
what?
had to handle all this rejection too. Is like these men she's finding on the Tinder. Obviously, I mean, you met. You know, I think this resonates a little bit with you. You met your partner online
Yes. Yes.
originally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this person and online, they can bully away. And if you tell them in like face to face did you tell your partner face to face or over FaceTime or something?
I don't want to release too much information, but
Got you.
was not in the same country as I was.
Ah, okay. Okay. Well, either way, how you tell the person and how long you tell the person, I think makes a difference.
Yeah,
And
because if you tell them
yeah,
straight that, they're gonna run away. And if you really like this person and you want it to work out, then you have to give it that opportunity. And it's not like you're catfishing, you know? Like,
mhm,
I, I talk about this freely because I know myself, I love myself, I'm not
I
ashamed.
love that.
I want to spread awareness, which is
Yeah.
come to the podcast. Like,
Love. Okay.
but yeah, I mean, don't put yourself in a situation where you're gonna have to feel that way, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's great for putting herself out there, but you just got to be careful, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
You, you
How old is she?
for yourself, for your feelings.
You gotta be there for you. You gotta show up for yourself, and if
Yeah.
someone else doesn't show up for you, then you're there for your kids and you, and that's what you move on for. And in OP, the original poster of this, if I know you're probably not listening, but anybody who feels the same way, you know what I mean? It's just like that you had to explain yourself in the beginning of this
Hmm.
that you're a wonderful no, but you are all of those things and you have herpes, yes, but
Yeah.
you didn't post here on Reddit to need to explain yourself to all of us, and the fact that you needed to explain yourself makes me really sad because all of these men that have rejected you, or females, I don't know, it didn't specify, just don't get it.
Yeah.
And they're not your kind of people, and they're not the one. They're not like your partner, and she deserves someone like your partner who makes him heal from it and
Yeah.
not stress her out and make it worse.
I 110% agree.
Let's look at these comments.
Like, you have to be careful. What is that saying? I don't remember. Whatever. But you have to be careful with who you're vulnerable with. I mean,
Yeah.
tell this guy you met a week ago, like, I was fucking trapped in a cage from ages 6 to 7. Like,
Yeah.
like you don't your secrets to randos.
It's not trauma dumping here, unless, you're like you and I, and we met each other and then we trauma dumped a day later. But it's a different story.
Oh god.
It's just a little different. I think we're still getting into the nitty-gritty of finding out who you and I are together, and trauma dumping more and more every single time we see each other. But
I wouldn't have baby.
love it. Okay, so we're gonna look at the comments of this. This is a woman, a commenter. She says, "I am a woman who has both HSV 1 and 2, like yourself. I have learned a few things over the many years of having this. It sucks, but it's not the end of the world. But thank God for Avicalover, which is probably a medicine, which really helps when you get outbreaks. You should go get a prescription for it because it is super effective with shingles too. And yes, there is a website for people with herpes and a variety of other STDs. It's called Positive Singles. I will talk about more different different dating apps later. Anyways, great website for just us. I would be the testimonial person for them because they worked for me 100%, but I wouldn't want to out myself to people who didn't know the stupid secret I am carrying. Stupid secret. I actually met my terrific husband on this site. I dated a couple of really great men on Positive Singles, but when I met my husband, that was it. The awkward conversation is already eliminated. Plus, they are really good people because they are outing themselves to you right off the bat, which requires a certain level of trust. The only thing that requires a bit of guts is to post your picture on there. But you have to consider anyone on the site is looking for a relationship just like you are, so it makes it less difficult. I have found when your partner has this too, there's a lot of less problems and logistics you have to figure out. Having a dating website for other people like me really made this a whole lot less of an issue. I can tell you, OP, the reason that all your dates have ghosted you is because they probably had it too, but didn't have the guts to tell you without sleeping with you first. You really must check out Positive Singles because it makes you feel better dating with men. That conversation gets out of the way. Sorry this was long, but I want you all to know to get on that website where you don't feel bad about you and that you are around very like individuals. I would never have met my husband if I didn't have this. Wow. That's crazy. That's amazing. I love technology.
Yeah,
There's a spider on my fucking ceiling. I am watching that.
Burn it. Burn it.
I wish I had like a flamethrower. The amount of spiders. I have a huge spider bite in the back of my arm. Yeah, they're everywhere. Anyway, sorry. Back. Backtrack.
So
Wow.
yeah, the squirrel brain. I think the dating app or the dating sites for people who already have this issue don't want to fucking put it out there,
Mhm.
That's fucking amazing. I didn't know about that, but I kind of assumed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
just for reference, I did some research and there is actually multiple different apps. So there is Positive Singles, which is something that I didn't even find, but there's called Meeting Positives. Then it's like Okcupid, which is a weird name. And then there is ones called HDate, HSV Singles, HWerks, and then Herpes People Meet. Like it just keeps going on and on. HIV and AIDS, PodDate, and Pozmaton. There is a million, I'll put those on the show notes, a million different dating apps people have now built for others that are struggling with dating, that are struggling like you might have in the beginning if you have not found the partner that you had now. And they're able to come and just talk about it like it's just a part of who they are.
And you know what? I mean, I understand because I know before I had herpes, I would not have dated someone that had it. And I mean, granted,
Mm.
young, educated, like I didn't know anyone who went through what I eventually did. So I think we need to normalize talking about this. I
Yeah.
also had chlamydia one time from
Yeah,
sleep
same.
with one person.
Hmm.
Same guy that gave me type 1 herpes. That was the only person I've ever been with. So it's not just like people sleeping around.
Hmm. The stigma.
All it takes is one time.
Yeah.
And uneducation or not being educated.
And
But
that bounces back to sex education in schools. Um, I have the opportunity next year for the company that I work for, where they have high schoolers. They're going to send out a consent, and I'm actually going to sit in front of these high schoolers for ages from 14 to 18 and talk about sex education. How fucking amazing, right? Because this is, but I told them, I said, I'm not preaching celibacy. I hope you know that. I'm handing out condoms to 14-year-olds, so they're gonna have to sign a consent. Um, Preaching celibacy is idiotic and really stupid.
kids are gonna.
Yeah, what? And so, and they agree with me. I sat down with these individuals in charge of that program, and they loved the idea, but religious reasons and stuff like that. But we're not taught that in school. We go over a brief anatomy, if that, for like a week, and then we move on to like building a healthy plate and coloring peas on a like paper. Like, what is this? We don't even talk about. We go over like herpes and chlamydia. Maybe I don't think we go over herpes. I think we just talk about how AIDS kills you, and there's herpes exists, and they're like,
And
yeah,
chlamydia can kill you.
yeah. Oh my god, all that
Always
bullshit.
practice safe sex. Like,
The spider has disappeared. Sorry.
it's okay. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole reason why I'm on this podcast. Like, awareness. There was one TikTok girl that I used to watch, and her whole channel was about her having herpes.
Hey, is she a blonde?
Yeah.
I love her. She has a little bit of a lisp.
Yes, yes, yes. That's her.
Oh, and her attitude, she'll like play out like scenarios,
Yep.
and oh my god, I'll link her in the show notes. I love her. I
Yes.
love her. She gets a lot of shit though.
She does get a lot of shit, and it's because she's cocky and good for fucking her.
Yeah, she is really good.
Like, she dresses up like a bad bitch, got a
Yeah.
bad attitude. She knows where she
Mhm.
stands. She knows her worth. And why
Yeah.
are you mad? Just
Yeah.
fucking roll. Like,
Exactly. You're on TikTok. You could easily just go like this or block.
yeah.
Yeah, there's also a dude who I watch. If I can find, I'll also link it, who goes over and like with a whiteboard and says HSV1 and HSV2, and it goes like this and it goes like this, and then you go here, and then he does like a whole scientific connection to explain it to people. And he's basically the guy version of that girl that you're talking about. Very, very attractive man, who like opens up the camera. He's like, "Yeah, you probably think I'm really attractive. Well, guess what? I have herpes." And so it's really great. But anyways, we're gonna move on
Hmm.
to the next story. All right. This says no title, but it says support needed. All right. I, 30 female, recently got diagnosed and had my first outbreak of herpes at the very start of the year. I got it off of my boyfriend at the time, who swears up and down that he has never had an outbreak, but will get himself checked. I've now healed and recovered from the outbreak, which adamantly was very, very mild. However, I'm still struggling with the emotional turmoil of it all. I honestly feel like I should kiss my future with a husband and kids goodbye. Am I catastrophizing? Oh, there's that word again. Is there still hope for me? So, question to men: would you be willing to marry a woman who had herpes? There's an update, but you're not a man, but damn.
Damn.
I honestly feel like I should kiss my future with a husband and kids goodbye.
No.
She's 30.
No.
Oh my god. So, obviously it can be contracted between the canal, as we've talked about, as if you're educated, and that is a risk. But why would you give up something that you have always wanted, whether it be love and connections and kids, because you have something that people stigmatize as the end of the world?
Yeah, I mean, I never wanted kids in the first place, but
Same.
when when I learned I had herpes, it it didn't last a long time, but it made me want kids because I was like, well, now I can't have kids because I have herpes and I can give it to them, and why would I do that to something innocent? You know, it's like when you have herpes, you feel so much guilt and shame because it's like, oh, this is your disease and you can give it to someone else. Like, you shouldn't put that burden on another human being. But then, you're still a human.
Yep.
You still need love, you still need affection, you still need relationships.
Connections, tenderness.
Yeah. Like, you still deserve those things. Regardless if you had herpes, regardless if you had fucking HIV, regardless. You're human. As long as you're not, as long as you don't murder and grape, like, you deserve nice things. You deserve those things.
And that's something that I mentioned earlier about inner critic. So I have obviously I have a sex coach background, still learning, still going to school for it, but there's something that I do to people as kind of like a, icebreaker, but not really. It's essentially a a letter to your inner critic. So I not force, but I give them homework, or I plan to give them homework that makes them write in their own journal or just a piece of paper a letter to their inner critic.
Yeah.
And this letter really like goes into the depths and deep, like what you don't want to tell anybody. Like you could straight up say like I want to die in this letter. And then you take that, and then the bottom half of it, you go and you talk to your inner critic, and you are mean to your inner critic. So you write you talk about what your inner critic is, and then you write a letter to your inner critic. So in this letter to your inner critic, sorry, wine, you are horribly mean. Why would I say that I should give up kids? That's something that I've always wanted. What's to you to say that like you're mean to yourself so much every single day. So that inner critic doesn't get to rule your whole life. So I make them write a letter to him
Well,
and fight back.
is your inner critic is also trying to save you.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, you nitpick yourself because you want to be perfect, because you don't want others to say anything bad about you before you've said it first.
Yeah, the fear of being perceived as well.
Yeah. And I
Mhm.
mean, that's what I did. I was like, well, what can be said to me that would hurt me if I don't already think it myself? Like, what would surprise me?
Yep.
If I've already did it myself, if I've already said it myself, you know? So I do think there's two parts of the inner critic, but I do love that letter idea.
Thanks.
I think
Appreciate it.
a lot of young girls need to hear that.
Yes. You're
Sex-
so hard on yourself. Just women in general. What did you say?
Oh, I said maybe not on the sex podcast because it's a little PG, not PG-13, R rated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, I think my worst years were in my teens, honestly.
Mhm. Mhm. I think that's something that maybe they would, even just like outside of the sex, like writing a letter to your inner critic should be something you do in health class.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think people need to get to know themselves better.
Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately, I don't foresee I hope, I pray, I will do my best, but I don't foresee in our lifetime um, that the sex positive conversation in schools will change.
Oh, most likely not.
And that is so disheartening
Yeah.
and ugly to hear. And that is why I little bits and pieces of sex. Just let me go off on a tangent here, okay? So there was a 16-year-old girl. She came up to my vending the other day.
Mhm.
I vended Delaware Park. It wasn't really a good night. It was windy. But she was very young, but I did say 18 plus, but I allowed her in. She had to be 16, 17 years old.
Yeah.
With her boyfriend, and they came to check it out, and she was like, "Oh my god, this is so cute." They went for a walk. They came back. She's like, "Hey, I have a question. I really want to ask you because I don't know how to ask anybody." She's really quiet. Her boyfriend's right next to her. And she's like, "So I have a ton of discharge and I don't know what to do." And I'm like, "Okay. All right. That's fine. You know, does it smell?" And her boyfriend goes, "Yes." And I'm like, "Okay. So you jumping in like that, we're gonna bounce back to that. But let me keep asking questions, right?" So I go to her, I'm like, "Does it smell?" She's like, "Oh, well, kinda." I was like, "Okay, does it burn?" I asked the normal questions. And I then bounced back. I said, "Hey, if you know, she were to say that about you when you're having sex that you smell, like, how would you feel? Would that, like, really hurt?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't wanna smell when she's, down there." I'm like, "Exactly. We're not gonna smell like flowers." That's something that, like, you need to understand as a male being with a woman. And I talked about too, like, maybe I said, "Honey, you probably if you have a very strong scent that's noticeable, that's you, that's your pheromones, and you might be getting your period if it starts to smell a little bit stronger." And he's like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Is it fishy?" And she's like, "Well, kinda near my period." I said, "Yep, yes. Okay, this is if it gets too strong, maybe you have BV." I talked about all that, but backtracking. That conversation was the only success I had that entire night. That is beautiful. I helped a 16, 17-year-old girl. If I got your age wrong and you're watching, I'm really sorry. But I watched this flourish in front of me, and they walked away smiling with each other, and now I knew that I helped somebody that was young and couldn't talk about it.
And I mean,
That's
you have to think about these kids' home life too.
oh, yeah.
All right, back to herps
Yeah.
and stories.
Sorry. Anyways, there is an edit here. We could talk for hours. Probably gonna do, like, one more Reddit and then, like okay. Edit. Okay. So this got way more attention and comments than I thought it would. A lot of people asked if it was genital, and it is. I know because very quickly, I went to the doctor who did all the needed testing of herpes and everything else. I've done a lot of research into herpes, and about 1 in 8 in Australia have been exposed to genital herpes. Okay, she must be in Australia. And 1 in 3 have been exposed to oral. Herpes is not included in the normal battery of tests done for STD. So even if someone says that they are clean, they may not have been tested for herpes. Yes, we'll talk about that. I will, of course, disclose to anyone that I may consider intimacy with, but I am nowhere near ready to begin dating again. This really has been giving me some hope that I may not only receive rejection when I'm ready to date again. Thanks for all the comments. Yes, guys. Okay. Herpes is not in the general STD testing. So when they say, like, yeah, I get tested for STDs all the time. Right. You get tested for chlamydia, trichomonas, whatever I'm trying to say, and all of the other far in between yeast infection, UTI, blah, 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 blah. No, you are not tested for herpes right off the bat. You have to ask to be tested for herpes. I know when I got chlamydia, I fleeked the fluke out and I got tested for everything all the time. It wasn't until this year that I got diagnosed with HSV1, but I've had it for years because they don't test you for it.
Yes.
So I got diagnosed this year, but I've had it literally since I was probably very young.
Yeah.
So y'all go get tested outside of the natural testing.
Tested. Go
Like, what the fuck?
because you
They
can
don't
talk
talk
that
about
shit and have it.
it. Yeah. And it goes undetected.
Yeah.
Sometimes it literally goes undetected. They will get your blood and they will see it in there, and you'll be like, "Oh, I don't have it. I don't have those sores on my penis or vagina. I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah. It literally goes dormant.
Yep.
Like people have never had an outbreak in their life, but yet it's still in their blood.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm. Yep. And I'm really glad we read that actually because we didn't even talk about that. Is the fact that please go get tested. There, you went to Planned Parenthood. God bless Planned Parenthood. We are not boycotting Planned Parenthood around here. So just so you know, if you're watching. Anyways, yeah, for real. But we love Planned Parenthood. We love, my body, my choice. I have earrings I was gonna wear today, but these headphones hurt it. That are literally uteruses giving the middle finger. My favorite earrings ever. Yeah, please go get tested, guys. It is that simple. It really is that simple. Let's
Really?
look at the comments though. I've dated a girl with herpes. I still don't have herpes. It's really not that bad as long as you don't do anything sexual during an outbreak. A lot of people overreact and think it's way worse than it actually is. It's one of the most common STDs. Sure, you'll have to find an understanding guy who isn't stupid, but we do exist. Hi, I also have herpes, and boyfriend has been together for over a year. I also tell him to get tested, and I have no outbreaks, and neither does he. He is fine, and so am I. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, same here. Me and my boyfriend have been together for, I think it's going on 5 years. Um, and we've never even had a scare. You know, we're very safe. Like it's like it doesn't stop the sex. Like
Yes, it doesn't. Also, you had talked about how your libido is actually built because you can't. Like if you're like your mommy and daddy tell you can't have something, you're gonna want it. So you wait that week.
exactly.
I
Like
get it.
it's it's like because you can technically still have period sex. I
Yeah.
don't have that pleasure, but like the tension, the looks, the be like, oh no, I can't. And then when he finally gets his hands on me,
Do you ever like suck his dick
oh yeah, I've done
during
it.
that? So okay, so you've done that like during. Wait, you've done anal?
Yeah, yeah. Like when outbreak, like it's
Ow.
the front portion of
Right.
me. And I still make him wear a condom. I don't do it anymore because anal's too much for me. But
Yeah. Ouch.
yeah, like I'll give him a blowjob if I'm feeling, I don't know, frisky. But even then, I'm like, no, I don't want to. I don't care that I have herpes. I just don't want to do sexual shit right now. And he's like, all right.
Yeah, like that also that's another thing. It's like just because you are in the type of situation that you're in, whether it be like your libido ain't shit right now or you having an outbreak, please don't expect your partner to be like, "Oh, well, if they're having an outbreak and we can't have sex and they're gonna please." No.
Yeah, no, that is actually something I want to address because when I was with the guy that I originally got the herpes with, um, after I was diagnosed, he would basically just use me for blowjobs, and he would not have sex with me. And this lasted for a very long time. And he didn't want to get educated on the subject, but I led into it. I'm like, okay, well, I'll give him a blowjob. Maybe one of these days he'll have sex with me again. That day never came. So do never, ever, 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 ever feel coerced that you have to do something because you have this disease. Don't feel pressured. Please do not feel pressured. If they love you, if they care about you, if they think you as a fucking human being, they will understand. Because I've been in that situation. It's not fun. And it makes you question a lot of things that you shouldn't have to question. You are worthy. You can say no and not feel guilty for it. They gotta tell them to go beat off in the bathroom, the bedroom. Buy them a pocket pussy. Do not.
Oh my god. You know what? I love that. And I don't even think we don't even need another Reddit story. I think we really hit all the like really really good points.
Yeah.
And I love ending on that note because yes, you should never feel forced, no matter whether if you have the disease, whether you don't have I don't even want to call it like it's a skin condition.
I mean, it is what it is. It's a fucking disease. Boo fucking. Like, it is what.
But people stigmatize it too much if you call it that. But anyways, I wanted to do a little thing that I actually did in yoga a few weeks ago to just that to bring that up. We really are super young and we need to live. We need to live our lives. And something that we did in yoga. So there's just this piece of paper. I know you can't see it, but it says it's like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Well, it's 0, 10, 20 across the board. Okay. We were told to look at this piece of paper and rip how old we are. So obviously I ripped between 20 and 30. So this is the life that I've lived in this tiny piece of paper. And look at all of this life that I still get to live. Look at that. So in these years, I've had so much fucking trauma and turmoil and oh my god, just horrible. But I'm finally in that blissful time in my life. But I'm gonna have a lot of horribleness again. But like, look at all of this time. Such a beautiful thing, isn't it?
I'm in awe. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, so just I'm a visual person, so write this down and rip it and put it on. I'm gonna put it on my mirror that I look at every single day, and I know that just because I'm not making it where I want to be right now, like this podcast isn't where I want it to be. I have 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and so on, but it stops at 70 because just of statistics. But and so on, to do the travel, to succeed, to just do everything I want to do, and so do all of you, and so do you, Kay. So do you. It's a beautiful thing. So thank you for coming on my podcast. I loved it. This was great. Just to let everyone know, if you do want more information about herpes, are there any other STDs, STIs, please go to CDC info. You can also call them. They're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 1-800-232-4636. Again, it's 1-800-232-4636, or you can call 988 if you are in a crisis and you are feeling like you can't take it anymore.
Yes.
There's also another podcast that is specifically interviews people who are positive with any other types of STDs. It is called Something Positive for Positive People. It is great. A great podcast. I've only listened to a few episodes and I have a billion more to go. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me on.
Of course. Okay. So I'm gonna edit this. We're gonna end it, but hold on. Yeah. So that was it. Today, we talked about really getting into the nitty-gritty of dating with an STD and living with an STD, and specifically herpes. She did amazing, and I loved having her on my podcast, and she will be back. But if you noticed, we did not do the sex toy of the week. Well, this week's sex toy isn't really a toy, but rather a blindfold. So I have two blindfolds here. And it was just for visual purposes. You guys know what a blindfold is. And I wanted to talk about the sensory part of sex and how important that is. Last week was called Sensate Focus, where we talked about going over all of the senses. And this takes away a sense, which is sight. You will not believe the amount of sensation and orgasms that I have had just from taking away my sight. On the last episode, I talked about how I had my partner use the dildo on me and I was blindfolded. And it's amazing. When you take away a sensation during sex, whether it be sight, whether it be I can't touch you, it is amazing. So try it out. I thought this was simple. I thought you guys would love it. And that is today's episode. So please remember that you do have so much life to live, and I love you all so, so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and post a podcast if you want. It really, really helps me to get it out to more viewers and awesome people like you who are listening and educating yourselves. And I just can't thank you so much. And with lots of lube, remember to clit-municate. I love you.